Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. And here we are once again for our Championship preview and predictions for game week round number 16. I say it every time. Always keep us sort of cognizant of where we are. We're in right slap bang in the middle now of the 9 games in 5 weeks. We've done a weekend, midweek. We're now on to the 5th of that run of 9 games. And it's as interesting as ever in the Championship. Really clogging up at the top of the table. We are going to go through each of the weekends. And we've got a Friday night, we've got a Saturday early, and then the Saturday 3 p.m. And then we're done again. They've given the players a rest through Sunday and Monday ahead of another midweek round. So we're going to go through each and every one of those games. I'm going to make a prediction. You're going to make predictions in the comments, and we're all going to look dumb after it. There we go. That's the Championship for you. Please let me know if you are in the feed and do get involved in the predictions as we go. Let me know that you can hear me and see me loudly and clearly. Before we begin, we must do our normal plugs here to our fan sponsor for the Championship preview show, the Donovan brothers, in loving memory of Michael Donovan of South East London, a lifelong Millwall fan, admirer of this show. Michael sadly died earlier this year, and the sponsorship is by his brothers, a good old bunch of Millwall fans, the Donovan brothers. We thank them for their support this season. Speaking of support, you can support me right now on Super Chat. You can subscribe on Patreon. We have got the Teespring shop, which I've got a code for you. I'll give you later on. But for absolutely free, $3.99, nothing. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit like, and hopefully we'll draw some more people to the stream and to the channel, and everybody is happy. Right, shall we head over to the split screen? And we've got 12 games to go through. I won't stand on ceremony anymore. I will take a quick sip of my drink before we go any further. Let me just see who's in the chat. Peter, who put up the bounty at the start of the season for the predictions. Thank you, Peter. Josh, Dan, Carl, Lee, Dasher, Bits, David, Russ, Alistair, Chris, loads of people in the chat. Brilliant. Looks like we've got a good few teams represented as well. But remember, leave your bias at the door. You can predict any team's result. Your opinion is just as valid as the next guy's. Let's have a look. There are 12 fixtures. Barnsley versus Bournemouth. That is tonight. That is a watch along. Do not be caught out. Don't show up at 7:45. It's happening at 5:30. So we'll be live for that one later on. Should be a good game, that, with the attackers on show in that one. Reading Forest is the early kickoff. We will not be live for that one. We will be live at 3 p.m. for the Super Stream, and then at 8 p.m. for Chelsea and Leeds. But we won't be doing Reading and Forest. We have done those two teams in the past week or 10 days or so. Right. Where to next is Brentford Blackburn, Tony versus Armstrong, Bristol City versus Birmingham, Coventry versus Rotherham, first versus second in League One last season, Huddersfield QPR, Millwall versus Derby, Norwich versus Sheffield Wednesday, Preston versus Wycombe, Stoke versus Borough, Swansea versus Luton, and Watford versus Cardiff. Right, let's go as we always do. No favoritism here. Teams are rewarded for achievement, which means we've got to go to Norwich first because they are up at the top of the table and they are going to be playing against Tony Pulis's Sheffield Wednesday. You can see Norwich up there, 28 from 15. And Wednesday, 9 from 15. Remember, there is a 6-point deduction there, so you can kind of call it 15 from 15 on performance. Since Pulis arrived, you can see defeat, draw, draw, draw. He's immediately made them hard to beat through different strategies. They have had 2 players sent off across those games. One in the first game at Preston early, wasn't it? Who was that? Windass. And then Shaw early on in that game against Reading, which, let's not get into it. We know Reading probably should have had probably 2 penalties in the second half of that game. For Norwich, let's have a little look. They're coming through their injury crisis now. If I throw that up, you will see that in their last game, Norwich, really, goalkeeper, yes, Krill over McGovern. Left back, yes, Quintia over Sorensen. Central midfield, yes, Rupp over Tete. But, you know, Tete's no slouch, a very experienced player. And up the top, yes, Pukki in up top and Placheta then over Martin. So really they're 4 first-team players away from a team. Obviously the bench is a little bit scant with that being said. Let's have a look at the tail of the tape. So are we back? My apologies. Ouch. I clicked the wrong button. Sorry. Let me share the screen one more time. I'm an idiot. I promise I'll only do that once in this stream and not disappear. That's where we were. And this is the button I wanted to click, which will take us back to the recent scorelines. My apologies, everybody. So Norwich have been on that brilliant run. And then when the injury crisis really kicked in that Stoke game, then the next 2, they've only taken a point from, and they've only scored from the penalty spot in those 2 games. And Wednesday, it's just draw, 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 draw. I suspect in this one, if they can get Buendia and Pukki back on the pitch, Norwich will be okay. However, you have to remember that they're going to come up against Pulis, who will happily take a draw in this game. Wednesday, obviously, going to be without Shaw, but I'm sure Pulis can find someone else to clog up that midfield and sit in there. Let's have a look at your comments. Lee says Wendy won't score. Chris says the same. Home win. Wednesday can't score. Norwich will have Pukki. Dasher says 1-1. Norwich struggled from set plays. That might be a McGovern Krill thing, that mightn't it? 1-0 Wednesday. I offer pushing for a start. Windass and a depleted Norwich. Our best shot at a win since Pulis came in, I reckon. Russ, if McGovern plays but Pukki doesn't, Al's 3-0. If McGovern plays and Pukki does, 3-1. If McGovern doesn't play but Pukki does, I think I'm getting the gist here. Pukki will make a big, big difference to Norwich, won't he? Norwich 2, Wednesday 0. 0-1 Wednesday, red card 4, 0-1. Narrow home wins. Difficult one to call here. A lot depends on, do Buendia and Pukki play? And if they, I've said this before, if they play well, doesn't matter who Norwich have got in goal, really, does it? They'll probably still outscore the opponents. Let's assume that Pukki's not quite there, that he probably does play and he's not 100% fit. It's a hamstring, wasn't it? Let's go for a Pulis draw in that one. Although I reiterate what I say, the outcome of this game depends on Buendia and Pukki being on the pitch together. If they're not, I think Wednesday have got a chance of getting a point in this one. Or that could happen, like Kieran says, 1-1 late Norwich equaliser. I think the thing for Norwich now, they're just got to get through. If they're still in the top 2, thereabouts, or in the top 3 with the rest of the parachute cartel, I think they'll be happy with that just to get out of this, not having Krill and Aaron's for the end of one game and Buendia suspended for one and Pukki. So there you go. Right, let's move on. And who are we going to next? Second in the table. And if you look at the table, which you can't because I haven't got the split screen up. There we go. You'll see that it wasn't a very good day for the top four in midweek. Only 2 points across the 4 games. Bournemouth still in there, but like Norwich, they've only recorded 1 point from the last 2 games. So the top 2 sort of mind a little slip at the same time. As I mentioned, it is our watch-along there tonight. Barnsley versus Bournemouth. Look, the clock is ticking in 4 hours, 18 minutes and 25 seconds as we look. Should be a good one, I think. Bournemouth and Barnsley, both good attacking teams. Look at that. Bournemouth second only to Blackburn in terms of goals scored. Get your predictions in for this one. Bournemouth versus Barnsley. As I said, 2nd and 14th in the table. Let's have a look at recent games. A bit spotty for Barnsley, isn't it? Look, very spotty. In fact, win, loss, loss, win. Which you take over draws. 3 wins every 2 games and 1 defeat is 2 points per game, and you're winning the title, aren't you? So it works out okay in the end, doesn't it? But defeats in there against Blackburn and against Brentford. So, they're losing tricky games. Cardiff away as well. And look, they've beaten Watford in there. They've beaten Forest in there. And Derby down the bottom, aren't they? QPR a bit erratic. So, yeah, tricky one to tell with Barnsley at the moment. Jed says it's snowing in Barnsley. May have an effect. We'll see. See how heavy that snow gets. Remember, half the Barnsley players aren't from up that way anymore, are they? All signed from the Austrian league nowadays, aren't they, in Europe? Bournemouth, yeah, just a little slip the last 2 games after winning 3 on the bounce, a draw at Rotherham, defeat at home to Preston with that ridiculous Scott Sinclair goal. But they did still score 4 goals across those 2 games. And across recent games, God, look at that. 3 against Birmingham, 4 against Reading is 7, 9 then with the 2 against Forest, another 2, 13 goals in the last 5 games. So Bournemouth are very, very good going forward. This is a tricky one to call, isn't it? Well, first of all, if you can get on both teams to score, that might seem quite likely with Danjuma, Surridge, King, Brooks, Chaplin, Woodrow, Adebayo, reel them all off. Oh dear, might be another unhelpful draw, mightn't it? Let's have a look. Claire says 2-2, 2-2, another one, 3-2 Bournemouth, 2-0 Bournemouth, 2-1 Bournemouth. That might be revealing Bits' bet early in the day, 2-2. So we're expecting goals. So in which case it'll probably be 1-0 to Bournemouth or something dull like that. Let's hope not, because we will be here on the watch along for this one. I'll go for a low scoring away win for Bournemouth. Maybe the Parachute Cartel are going to pick up this game week. So I'll go for a short away win. Lee agrees. Alex says 2-2. They won't take them seriously and it'll haunt them. 3-3 says Jack. Let's hope it's a good one. Join me at 5:15 for that. Didn't David Bowie have some 5:15? The Angels are coming. Hopefully the Angels are coming and we get a really good game there. Let's go on to Watford, who are 3rd. And Watford play Cardiff. So Watford, the narrative is that they're very tight and they're winning games and they're undefeated for a while. They've got a fair amount of points, but they don't mind completely stinking it out and drawing a game just to keep unbeaten. The narrative with Cardiff is they've been a bit erratic, but pretty good at home, and a 3-0 and a 4-0 in the last 2 games for Cardiff. Where is this game? I think it is at Watford, isn't it? So that may well work in their favour. Watford up in 3rd in the table. The Parachute Cartel 1, 2, and indeed 3. But a bad result for any of them this game week, and that could change. Look at how tight it is up the top there. Get your predictions in for this one. Watford versus Cardiff. If we look at the recent results, you will see that, yes, Watford just are not losing, are they? They don't mind a draw, but they're not losing. One defeat in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Goodness me. Don't concede many goals. I can see those 2 3-2 wins, but generally speaking, they don't concede many goals. Lots of zeros and ones in there. Can they score the 2s and the 3s, though, is the question. They have a couple of times, haven't they? Looks like they've gone full on 4-4-2 now, Watford, with Deeney and João Pedro up front and Sarr out on the wing and Gray out on the bench, basically. Cardiff, can they stop Kiefer Moore? Probably. Can they stop Harry Wilson? Probably. So I suspect Watford may well get the win in this one. Let's have a look at your thoughts. Jordan's got Watford to a clean sheet. Carl's going for an away win. Alex says both teams going forward, but switch off a bit at the back. 0-0. There you go. 1-1. Maybe Alex was speaking about the Barnsley game there. He might be a minute behind. 3-2 to Watford, says Peter. Another 1-1 there. 1-1. 1-1. 1-0 to the Horns. 1-1. 0-0. I'm going to go for a home win. I'll go for a tight. Watford will win 1-0. Sarr will do something or get a penalty or something like that. Won't they? Just can they defend crosses into the box? And Kiefer Moore, indeed. Richo says Liverpool low knees run rights against Cardiff, win set plays. We're talking about Wilson and Ojo, obviously there, who both I think contributed. Chris says home Watford are outstanding at Vicarage Road. Are they? Let's have a look. Yes, they are. Look at that. That looks like 13 points in the last 5 at home, which is, as Chris rightly points out, outstanding. Let's move on to game number 4, and we'll go up to 4th in the table. Reading, who probably should be higher in the league, probably should be top of the league, shouldn't they, after not getting any penalties in the second half of that game up at Sheffield Wednesday. It's Reading versus Forest. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Two potentially passive teams, but with good attacking players. Don't take the word passive as an insult. Reading are obviously better at this, given they're 17 places higher in the table. Get your predictions in, by the way. Reading versus Forest, but both teams are good defensively. You'd say Reading have really good attacking players with Zhao on form and Ajaria, Elise. Maite didn't play the last game, did he? But then Forest, for goodness sake, have got Graben, Taylor, Knockhart, Freeman, Amiobi, Arta. There's good attacking players in both sides, but both managers do prefer that wait and see what happens, keep it tight sort of thing. Forest are in a bit of bother. And if I bring up Forest's fixtures, you'll see. Can we go future games on this screen? We can't. Let me just click into Forest. And you'll see that their next games are very tricky indeed. Reading away, Norwich away. And you'd assume Norwich at that point will have Buendia and Pookie back. And Krull will be a few more days closer. And then Brentford, Sheffield Wednesday against Pulis, Millwall away, Stoke as well, not too far. Karanka, old manager, difficult team to play against. I know all fixtures look hard when you're down the bottom of the table, but it's not going to get any easier for Forest. So they do need to start picking up points in some of these games. Reading have been in good form basically since they managed to get more Ajaria, etc., back on the pitch. Still swift to come back. Look, if we believe that things right themselves and the universe returns back to order, then Reading will get a really lucky refereeing decision in their favour and win the game because of it after what happened to them in midweek. I am going to go... Let's go for a home win. I never back Reading, do I? Let's go for a home win. Forest struggling, though, at the moment. 1-1 says Mr. Football. 3-0 Reading. Should have scored a lot more against not convinced by Colback and Yates. Interesting. That obviously was Watson and Sal last season. Home win. Reading have goal power. Yes, they do. Forest have trouble. 1-0 Reading. Forest are awful at the moment. 2-0 Reading. Will help if Maite is back. Totally agree with that. Still a doubt though. 2-1, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0 Forest. There's an away win in there. 2-1, 1-1, 2-0 Forest. We're in and out on the predictions there. Let's put a couple more up. 2-1 Swift only if we're expecting Swift at Christmas, aren't we? Nice Christmas present. In fact, one of my Christmas presents last year was a John Swift goal. Was it Boxing Day? I did the 2 games in a day. I went to Brentford, Swansea, because I'm insane, and then Reading QPR. I went straight from one to the other. And John Swift scored in a hopelessly bad game as well. John Swift scored a worldie in that game. 2-0, says Nick. Okay, let's move on. Game number 5. Who is 5th in the table? Bristol City are 5th in the table. And they play against Aitor Karanka's Birmingham. And they do so at home. The table will tell us that Bristol City are in 5th spot. Only 1 point off the top. We know how tight it is up there, for goodness sake, don't we? And Bristol City, they stick up there. Look, 1 point in 2 games, but then away to QPR, they went and got the victory, didn't they? So he's just keeping them hanging in there, Dean Holden. I say hanging in there. They're 1 point off the top, for goodness sake. It's probably unfair. Birmingham, well, they hang in there in a lot of games and draw 7 of them, but no wins in 5, you can see, in those recent games, and only 3 victories all season, 11 goals in 15. You can see what Karanka is trying to do. It's not quite working just yet, is it? Get your predictions in here. Bristol City versus Birmingham. Shouldn't speak into the mug. But I don't want my coffee to go cold. My tea's gone cold. I'm wondering why. So Bristol City, if you look big picture, over the last 6 games, they got 13 points. That's very decent. That does include a 3-game win streak, of course. Birmingham, they haven't won in any of the last 6 after back-to-back wins there against Preston and Huddersfield. They started playing, they've got good players, Birmingham. Started playing Hogan and Jutkovic up top, which I think is the right idea. They've got San Jose into the team and acclimatised now. Clark Salter too. So they don't have bad players, Birmingham. But when you play pragmatic and you don't score, you're obviously not going to win, are you? You might pick up the odd draw, but there you go. Bristol City, well, Callas came back, didn't he? And they won. It went back to the front 3, didn't they? With Semenyo, Wells, and Martin, having played Jeju and Semenyo for a couple of games. So I suspect we'll see the front 3 again. I'm going to play the 5th on this one. What are you guys saying in the chat? 2-0 Bristol City. Matty says, I reckon against Birmingham isn't great. Yes, I remember Birmingham, an away win there last season when Hogan was playing really well, brother. Bristol City 1-0, says Bits. If form follows, then we should win 2-0. I think Karanka will Karanka us and do a 1-1. 2-0 Bristol City, 1-1. 1-1 or 2-1. 1-0 Bristol City. I honestly quite like Birmingham squad. I do as well, Alex. 1-0 Bristol City. Draw probably. Nick says, I'm a Blues fan. We don't stand a chance unless Halanovic is starting. That would be an interesting one. It's another good player added to that squad as well. 1-1. Funny feeling Birmingham nicked this one. 1-0. Look, it's Karanka. I'm allowed one of these on Karanka, Pulis, Rowett, Warnock to call a draw, aren't I? So let's call it a draw. Couple more in here. Stephen says 2-1 Bristol City. Lee says 1-0 Bristol City. Game number 6 for us and 6th in the table are Brentford, who have won 3 straight games and of every team in the division are trending upwards in the best way other than the team they're playing, Blackburn Rovers. This could, and I hope should, be brilliant, shouldn't it? It's the 2 teams trending and the 2 strikers scoring all the goals. Armstrong and Tony hammering in the goals. I think, they got 13 each, have they? Is it 13 and 12 or is it 13 each? Basically, they've got the thick end of 25 goals already between them. And we've only played 15 rounds, for goodness sake. The game is at Brentford, but Blackburn, when they click, get your predictions in here. Brentford versus Blackburn really are good going forward. And in the last game, Mowbray dropped Harvey Elliott into midfield, who's been great, and he scored, and played Armstrong, Gallagher and Brereton. So two big guys and the quick finisher Armstrong in the middle with Elliott as a creator. Still got Tyrese Dolan, who we were raving about at the start of the season. But Brentford have Ivan Toney. Now, I've been converted in the last couple of weeks to... I started the season thinking, oh, Toney's all right. He was decent in League One. Then he started scoring. And I'm like, okay, Toney's slotting in well to this Brentford system. And they're creating chances for him and he's scoring them. Now I'm thinking, no, Toney's actually really good. And not only is he just finishing off these chances in these games, but I mean, did you see the assist he got for the Force goal the other night? He's a really good player, Toney. I think he's better than I expected he was. And that was having seen him, he destroyed Ipswich in one of the games I saw last season. But I was like, oh, that's League One, isn't it? Get your predictions in for this one. Hopefully we get goals. And really, I mean, looking at the last four, Blackburn are actually the form side in the division, and Brentford are second. Just quickly glancing at that. Sorry if I've got that wrong. But yeah, Brentford have got 11 from 6. Blackburn have got 13 from 6. So in very, very good form. Just have a look at the recent games, although they're both going to be extremely good. You can see not really a blot on Brentford's copybook other than 3 draws in a row. There's only 1 defeat. That was away at Stoke, which is going to be a tricky game this season. And Blackburn have come from a 3-4 losing streak. But to come into great form there in the last 6 games could be really, really good, couldn't it? Let's have a look. What you guys say in a 2-2. Despite stiff opposition, Langford is the worst. Is he doing this game, Chris? Yeah, I'd always have Stroud at the top of that league. But after the other night, maybe Mr. Langford is getting there. 3-2 Brentford, 2-1 Brentford, 3-1 Blackburn. He won't play Toney and Force. Yeah, Force and Toney. You wonder if, in the end, though, Skipper, it gets that Force is just pushing Toney so hard that he just has to go to a front two. And I don't know what system he would play, but he'd have to reconfigure his midfield. And that wouldn't work for Brian Mbeumo, would it? He'd be the one to miss out there. But yeah, Force played nominally wide in that game earlier in the week. But just, I'd like to look at his heat map, but he was just in the middle the whole time, wasn't he? 2-1 Brentford, 1-0 Blackburn. How Armstrong hasn't been snapped up is beyond me. Well, really, he's only been firing since there's only been 1 transfer window since he's been really, really bang on it, Armstrong, in terms of a Premier League team spending a ton of money, and that was the COVID window. So look, someone will take a bid, whether they'll sell. But honestly, they could probably. I know Armstrong's brilliant, but they could probably. They've got forwards there. There's 5 forwards in that squad now that are good, and if they got the right offer, they could probably see out the season. But maybe a club in Blackburn's position in the hierarchy might go, this is a chance to get in the playoffs in COVID season. And we've got Armstrong and he might get 20, 25, even higher goals. Keep him there. 0-0. Everyone's Toney and Armstrong both scoring bets to let them down. Spoil sport, Alex. 2-2. 4 penalties given by Mr. Lamb. 3-2. 2-1 Blackburn. 2-0. Chris has gone for a banker. Interesting. Home win there to Brentford. 3-2 Toney and Armstrong. I want the narrative to play out. I want it to be 5-4 with both Toney and Armstrong scoring hat-tricks. But go on. I'll be boring and go for Brentford. But yeah, let's hope. Let's hope our 2 strikers, because we hope that they can go and play in the Premier League and be the latest brilliant Championship players to graduate and go up. Let's hope they can do it. Right. We are half the way through. So quick little plug down the bottom there. You can support right now via Super Chat. I hope you're enjoying these live versions of the prediction show and the 1 p.m. streams. I know a lot of you are off work because of COVID and whatnot, but we'll keep it up. We'll see where we go with it. Patreon, and I needed to plug the Teespring shop. Here is a code. Enter the discount code LIVE at the checkout and get a 10% discount on all Benjamin Bloom Football Channel merchandise over at Teespring. So support the channel. Go buy something. To be completely transparent with you, I've done the next load of government grants. I did that and they're processing it right now. So we're okay, but this is otherwise my only income stream, especially in lockdown, where I'm not allowed to go and do a gig. So there we go. Thank you, everybody, for your support as ever. And on we go. His welfare is my concern. Name that tune. And in 7th place, we're looking at Swansea. And Swansea play Luton. And these two teams had contrasting midweeks, didn't they? Swansea went up and got warnocked, didn't they, and beaten by Borough. And Luton beat first place Norwich, albeit without 4 of their decent first-team players in the 11. I promise that is the last swig until I open the Pepsi in a minute. But there we go. Too much caffeine. I need it to get through this championship campaign. So Swansea versus Luton. Where is the game? I always forget. There we go. Swansea at home in this one. Luton are having a good season, aren't they? 15 games gone and 6 victories already for the Hatters, and mainly operating in the top half. Some good wins in there as well. They are punching their weight and some, probably. So good job by them. Let's be honest, so Swansea, because they never spend any money. I know they sold Rodden and then did a lot of business on deadline day in terms of Palmer on loan, and then Bennett came as well, Gyökeres. But have they spent any money? No, they haven't. Still a bit reliant on Ayew and still not much in terms of a striker. But good side, Swansea, very well coached as well by Steve Cooper. Mind you, so are Luton under Nathan Jones. I do have to confess that. Luton had been on a winless streak there of 4 games before the victory over Norwich. Swansea, a bit spotty in the last 5. Look, loss, 1, drawn, 1, loss. However, the 2 defeats there are against Norwich and Borough, who are fellow challengers there. Tricky one to call. Get your predictions in. Luton visiting Swansea. Let's see what you guys are saying. Brian. Hello, Brian. Shouldn't you be working? Brian will be at work with my missus or at number 10 Downing Street by the look of his picture right now. So say hello to Shaylee for me. Happy with 1-1, another point away from relegation. Were you there, Brian, at the Kenny in midweek? 1,000 in there. 1-0 Swans, 2-1 Swans. Swansea 1-0, as usual. Want to say 1-0 Luton. Nathan has a good record versus Swansea. You can see it being tough. 3-0 Swans, 2-1 Swans. Another banker home win. Holly's, he ain't heavy. David always gets to name that tune. Tight call, possibly low scoring draw. Swans back 2-0, 2-1 Luton, 3-1 Swans. 2-0 Luton, 2-1. Loving live. Hope you do more. Yeah, thanks, bro. Right, I think we're all caught up on those. Okay, I won't say any more. Oliver's also at work. Got it in the office to get you in the background. There we go. I hope we have those mental challenges like last time, about 10 red card tackles in the 8-minute spell. 1-1. Oh, dear. I think Swansea might win. Sorry, Brian and Peter and the other Luton fans in the chat. It's a difficult one. I think Luton are doing great, but I think this is a tricky one for them to go to Swansea, especially, who was it? Bits said, the bounce back. I think you might get that from Swans in this one. So I'm going to go for a home win, but Luton really having a good old run at the moment. Right, where are we going next? Stoke, who won at Wycombe in the midweek. Oof. Good luck calling this one, guys, because it's Warnock and Michael O'Neill. Stoke versus Borough. I'll sit back and look at your comments first. 2 managers who are, very attritional and very difficult to beat, aren't they? and they're playing each other. Stoke, they're in 8th. Borough in 10th. Only, look at that. Borough had 2 defeats in the last 4, only 3 all season. Stoke, 4 defeats all season. 10 points in the last 5 for Stoke as well is very, very decent. I've said for a while, Stoke will just go like this through the season. Others will fall below them, and in the end, they'll end up in the top 6. Warnock has surprised me. I don't know why, because he always does it, doesn't he? But can he go and do it on a cold winter's day at Stoke, as the cliche goes? As the great Thomas Muller said after his game for Bayern at the weekend. There is the recent tale of the tape. The only thing for Stoke is they can never put back-to-back victories down, can they? Same with Borough, actually. Draw. So look, draw, win, loss, win, loss, draw, and win. So a proper grind there from Stoke without the back-to-back victories. Same for Borough. I wonder if they can right it. Let's have a little look here. Nailed on 4-4. What are you on about, Oliver? I tell you what, get some money on that, Oliver. That'd be a nice price. 0-0. Yawn, says Bits. 1-0 Warnock. 2-0 Stoke. A good nose-to-nose. 2-1 Stoke. 1-0 Borough. 1-0 Borough. 1-0 Borough. 1-1. 2-2. 1-0 Warnock. Home victory for Stoke. Ben says we've got a lot of injuries like Davis, Mikel, Gunn, Allen and Suter. I'll take a boring 0-0, boring goalless draw. I think I'm in those last couple of... thought you'd say both teams sit back. If they both sit back, we know what's going to happen. Look, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for a draw. Sorry, it's predictable, but it's Warnock versus O'Neill. Stoke looked a bit lost coming up against us the other week. Don't think they look overwhelmingly comfortable against this defensive side. Some sarcasm. I did read some of the sarcasm, Oliver, indeed. And that says 1-all. Right. Where are we going next? I've done Blackburn, I've done Borough, I've done Luton, I've done Cardiff. I haven't done Millwall, who play Derby. Am I allowed to call them hapless Derby yet? Still down there at totally the wrong end of the table. 8 points in 15 games for Derby. But Millwall can't win at the moment either and can't score at the moment, despite lots of seemingly pretty good handball appeals in the game in midweek against Blackburn. This is a tricky one to call. Derby have returned all of their experienced players into the team and bombed out a couple of the European guys, Jos Viak, a couple of the youngsters, Sibley and Buchanan got a rest, didn't he? And Knight was out of the team. I think Bird was in for the youngsters. But it's a fragile old thing when you're down that low. And you just wonder if Millwall can get the lead in this one in the first half, whether Derby will have the cojones and the confidence to come back. And the goal scoring for both has been horrendous in this one. Rowett has been trying with Parrott now. And I'm all for that, really. If you're going to get a high-end loanee from a big Premier League club, give him a go. Send him back in January if it doesn't work out, for goodness sakes. But give him a go. Derby just not scoring. And the worry is, look, the last 2 games have been at home to promoted League One clubs. They've led both of them and haven't managed to go on and get the victory. Eek. And we're playing at the Den as well, which is there going to be fans back in there? I think there are. I think Gaza, who's one of our great subscribers, I think he's got a ticket. Yeah, so there definitely are. I'm going to go for a home win. Sorry, Derby fans. Until the takeover happens, the manager changes, and a striker comes in, I don't really know what else to predict at the moment. They may get that game changer of a victory, Derby, and then go on a run. I don't know. But until that happens, we can't really predict it. I'm going very home win heavy this week, I know. Millwall win, says Sam. 2-0 Millwall. Draw at the New Den. We couldn't beat Cardiff at home at the moment. Fans back in the Den. I'll go for a 1-0. Got a ticket for that. Oh, nice one, David's going to be back at the Den on Tuesday. Derby in trouble. We had 16 points at the same stage last year. And bought in the Cowleys, and that made the difference, didn't it? Bad start haunted us. That's a good point as well. It's very hard to... And under the Cowleys, Huddersfield's points per game was good. And Oliver's totally right. Even with a good points per game for 3/4 of the season. Totally right. Same with Stoke as well. They were still in bother until the last few weeks, wasn't it? Millwall win. Derby in the habit of losing. Millwall 1-0. Derby hampered by injuries there. 1-1, 4-1. Evan expecting the goals drought to end for Millwall there. 2-1 Millwall. God, could Derby actually get relegated? Some of you guys think that they might be going down that way. Something better change. Name that tune. The takeover has been 48 hours away for 3 weeks. He's being sarcastic, but he's also right, Chris. 0-0. Can only see one goal in the game, but don't know who. I know what you mean, Jay. I really know what you mean. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're on to game number 10 here in the prediction show. I'm loving this, hanging out with you guys and predicting these results. Please, if you are in the stream at the moment, hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit the follow button on Twitter and the like button on... I've got them the right way. I never get them the right way around. We just could never pull away. Look, it's so hard. When McCarthy took over Ipswich, we were literally in promotion form for most of the time he was there. But you just can't get away from the bottom of the table. It's so hard. It's a great point by Oliver with that horrific start, isn't it? So difficult. And even someone like Houghton, they might be in the bottom 6, 8 for a lot of the season before eventually pulling away, if indeed they do. Where are we going next? We're going to Preston versus Wycombe. Get your predictions in for this one. Preston, magnificent away from home, massively erratic. Wycombe, very competitive last few games after a horrible start. Let's have a look at the table that tells us that Preston, 15th place, 19 points, 2 wins in the last 4. Wycombe, no wins in 5, but turn that on its head. They have got 10 points in the last 8 games, which is survival form over a nice sample size of 8 games. Tricky one, this. Let's have a look at the recent scorelines, and they'll tell us nothing other than I've already told you, that Wycombe are competitive now and Preston are damn erratic. Look at Preston. You know when I say spotty or stripy, look at that. Win-win, loss-loss, win-loss, win-loss-loss, win. Utterly all over the place, Preston, although you'd prefer that than not being able to win games, wouldn't you? And look at some of the results in there for Preston as well. You can't see the Brentford win in there. They won 4-2 at Brentford. They won 3-0 at Reading. They won 3-2 at Bournemouth. So they've beaten some good sides in here. But then, by the same token, they've lost heavily at Watford, who are a good side. They've lost at home to Birmingham and to Millwall, who we've said are very, very draw-heavy. Sorry, my mouse is playing silly beggars. It wants me to move away from that screen. A mind of its own. Wycombe, yeah, where do the wins come from? Where do the goals come from is the thing. They've been very efficient with their goals in terms of getting points. But look, 7 goals in 15 games. So they are competitive. They do not score many, many goals. And that may be their undoing in this one. 2-1 Wycombe. Preston would go and beat Bournemouth and lose. They would. Chris is the only away win of the day. I've only got one so far, and that's Bournemouth at Barnsley. Although, strictly speaking, for you pedants out there, that wouldn't be on the same day because that's tonight. 1-0 Preston. All the pressure on Preston. Agreed with that. Reckon Wycombe could win here. 2-0 Preston, 2-0 Preston. Scott Sinclair, can we just give a take a bow, son, for Scott Sinclair's goal in the midweek? How good was that? I normally don't like just big lobs over the keeper. It's normally the keeper's fault, but This one from Sinclair was a dribble, a run away from goal. He didn't just float it in. It was a great goal, wasn't it? So it wasn't just a goalkeeping howler. Hat-trick Maguire, there we go. Hat-trick Bamford. 2-0 Preston, 1-0 Wycombe. Would be great if Arsenal got relegated. Wouldn't be, yeah. Wouldn't it be? Look, there's still some big clubs. Newcastle down the bottom end. West Ham, although they're both doing all right this season. 2-3 Wycombe. Yes, and we do need to get me to 14,000 by Christmas. I think we can do that, can't we? Ben mentions Birmingham win at Preston and his mouse got fully confused by the news. Was that what triggered it? I can't predict an away win here. I'm going to go for a home win again. I'm so sorry. I've gone for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've gone for 6 home wins so far. Goodness me. I'm going to go for a home win. Sorry, Wycombe fans. I'm going to go for Preston in this one and boringly go with the league table. Right. Huddersfield versus QPR. Is that our last one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I've got another one after this one. It must be Rotherham. It's Rotherham and Cov, isn't it? Right, let's go on. Sorry. Huddersfield versus QPR. I like the sound of this one. This is 2 teams that both play quite open, that have had big budgets in the past but don't have them anymore, have had parachute money but either can't spend it or don't have it anymore, but have 2 managers that like to attack, like to play nice and open. So in theory, this should be a decent game, this one, shouldn't it? Huddersfield have scored some great goals this season. Eiting looks good in central midfield. Karoma looks good down the left. Get your predictions in this one, Huddersfield versus QPR. Rangers, can they get Chair and Bright Samuel to play well in the same game at the same time? Because that'd be pretty hard to stop, wouldn't it? If those 2 actually can combine in a Buendia and Pookie way, like we were talking about earlier in the show. Let's have a look at the tail of the tape. It's going to be a difficult one to call. I might just throw my away win in on this one just for the sake of it because I haven't done it yet. Yeah, Huddersfield are stripy, aren't they? All over the place. Look, 1 loss, 1 loss, drawn, 1 lost. Could do anything. Look, they could beat Borough, or they could lose 4-3 at Stoke, or they could lose at home to Bristol City, or do anything. Lose at home to Preston. Preston have been good away, haven't they? QPR, well, they were on good form, weren't they? They did have a streak of 10 points in 5 games there, but back-to-back defeats. They were unlucky against Brentford, weren't they? Should have got something in that one. How good are QPR away from home? Let's just toggle that button. Not very. Only managed to beat Derby. Chris makes that exact point there in the comments. Oh, dear. What are you guys saying? Let's have a look here. I'm feeling confident with this one. Kiss of death, of course. 3-1 Huddersfield, says Oliver. Karoma seems to be settling. Yes, he does, doesn't he? Into the first team. Corberon will definitely make sure we put out a good performance, especially after Tuesday. 2-1 Huddersfield. 3-1 Bright Samuel, who, if he fancies this, can really boss this division, can't he? Looks a very good player on his day, doesn't he? Fancy a 2-0 QPR, 2-0, 0-0, 3-1. I think it would be a good game, no winner. 3-3, 2-2, 3-1 Rangers. QPR, 2-2, 3-3, 2-2. I can't go for my away win. Let's go for a scoring draw. I like both teams. I like the way both teams play. They're not as well resourced as some of the other teams. And annoyingly for both Warburton and Corberon, they're in a division with Rowett, Pulis, Warnock, Ivic, Houghton. Reel them off. So that might give them some hard games, playing that open style without the resources of Brentford. Yes, and I know before you shout at me, Brentford have earned those resources. Norwich, who play nice football open, but got the parachute money and the TV money from the Premier League, haven't they? So Blackburn going to be attacking, but then they've got the Mowbray little twist on there. So let's move on. 3-1 Huddersfield. Think our right back Pibble bit. Yeah, he's been great. And the balance when they have Toffolo and Pippa in the team's been really good, hasn't it? Right, moving on. I think it must be Coventry versus Rotherham because that's the only two teams I've got left. But where will they play? They will play at Coventry, which isn't really at home. Rotherham, if you remember early in the season, nearly got a win in this stadium, didn't they, at Birmingham? They got a penalty right at the end of the game, scored it, but then conceded another one and didn't get the victory. Get your predictions in. Coventry versus Rotherham. My narrative, as it goes, was, and you can check back the evidence on this. I'm not just looking at the recent form and saying it. I said in my will teams be trending up or down going into Christmas? I said Coventry will trend upwards just based on the fixtures. And smug mode engaged, I was right. Draw, win, draw recently for Coventry. For Rotherham, I saw them play against Brentford, and they're so well organised, Rotherham. They're difficult to play against, but Brentford ultimately were too good for them. So I think this is quite a good matchup for Rotherham, because I think Coventry, I think it'll be the same game state with Rotherham organised, just waiting to strike, good at getting crosses in, difficult to play against. Coventry will play at them with Hamer and Shipley and O'Hare and those good attackers they've got. But they won't do it as well as Brentford did with Tony and Force and all of those dudes in that team. So I think they might have a chance in this one, Rotherham, just anecdotally on what I have seen. There is the tail of the tape. Not a good run for Rotherham, but they have played Swansea, Bournemouth and Brentford in the last 4 games. And prior to that, they did get wins in the previous 4 games against Wednesday and Preston. For Cov, only 2 wins in, is that the last 10? I think it's 10 games we've got up there. Good results recently, especially away at Norwich, but there was the caveat of the injury crisis for Norwich. Look, on the basis, I've only said 1 away win in the whole round. I'm going to go for an away win for Rotherham. I always throw one of them in there. Let's see what you guys are saying. Coventry 3-1. Ian says, honestly think we can do this. No clean sheet. I'm not that ambitious. 2-1 Millers. Draw all day long. 1-1 draw. 1-1 won't help other team. 3-2 Cov. Cov to shade it. 1-1. 3-2 Cov. 1-0 Cov. Callum, good. We've got a Coventry fan in here. 2-1 Cov. 0-0 there. Right. So that is my predictions, but I've stupidly put the piece of paper underneath the microphone. Let's read off what I have predicted. Right. Norwich, Wednesday, draw. Barnsley, Bournemouth, away. Hold on to that. It's a rarity in this round. Watford, Cardiff, home. Reading Forest, home. Bristol City, Birmingham, draw. Brentford, Blackburn, home. Swansea, Luton, home. Stoke, Borough, draw. Millwall, Derby, home. Preston, Wycombe, home. Huddersfield, QPR, draw. Coventry, Rotherham, away. So there are my predictions. As I always say, please do not take too much heed in them. I have fans asking me to predict their team to lose because they think it has any influence on what happens. It's just a bit of fun, and it's all about the interaction with you guys and me getting a bit of information from you lot in the chat. And you lot are fabulous, aren't you? Now, I did earlier on for my video, and if I'm very clever and I can pad whilst I download it into the overlay here, I did pop up a little slide that tells you what's going on. What's going on? Name that tune. I'm just a bit too easy, isn't it? And I've just uploaded it. So there you go. You can join me right now at 1 p.m, which we're doing. Then 5:15, Barnsley versus Bournemouth is the watch along. Then apologies to Reading and Forest fans, but we're doing Dearly Departed later in the day. And I think I'm going to Costco in the morning anyway with Shaylee. So Saturday Super Stream at 3. Please join me for that. That's been one of the most fun shows at the week. It's absolute carnage. Loads of goals all going at the same time. We get your interaction. You're watching on iFollow. I'm trying to keep up with everything. It's a really good, fun show. A bit different than the normal watch-alongs. I really like doing it. It's been a good success so far. Chelsea Leeds, Dearly Departed. Then That's 8 o'clock Saturday night kickoff. We'll be here at 7:45. Then the review show will be here live Sunday again. When all the games are played by Saturday night, I can go ahead and get this stream done at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. Come and join me for that. And then we'll be back again in the afternoon. It will be Sheffield United Leicester for Dearly Departed again. And if any of you care, I will also, busy weekend for me, I'll be on the Blue Monday podcast. It is our 400th show. Our 400th show for Blue Monday podcast for Ipswich. Should be a good fun one. And I just want to give myself a slap on the back. I formed a podcast in 2015 to cover Ipswich Town, my club, and it's reached 400 shows. And we're going to celebrate that achievement, which I'm very, very happy about. Right, let's get some final comments in here. Appreciate the thumbnail for the Saturday Super Stream. Thank you. There we go. Not a championship supporter, says Football Prime Ginger, but the Norwich game on Saturday, going to be a good one. Marvin Gaye, yes, it was indeed. Johnny's here, a bit late to the party. Fullback for Birmingham. Through 180 games there. Chris actually keeps track of his predictions. 69 homes, 55 draws, 56 away. You'd think it would be more homey than that. Enjoy Mr. Stroud later. Yes, I will. Not another Birmingham draw. Don't think I can suffer another one. There we go. 1-0 Millers. 8-2 Cov. There you go. 23 games. Oh, I did see that comment. Are you going to update or review in the beginning of the season predictions? Yes, I will. I'll never update them. That's cheating. I'll review the beginning of season predictions. I'll do them halfway and I'll do them at the end. But I think I might look at are we trending up or down by Christmas? Indeed. We've got to stick with our predictions. Sadly, no, there will be no Harry. He's great. He's great. Don't you worry. He is okay. Can we do the mugs in red? Yes, I think that's just a click of a button. Let me make a note of that, Lee. And with that being said, I'll quickly do my discount code for all of you lot in the Teespring store. 10% discount. Just enter live at the checkout. I can't seem to say live without going live like Martin Tyler does. And it's live on Sky. So there you go. I think we're all the way through. I think we've plugged everything. If you're still in the stream, please, just before you go, hit the like button, hit subscribe on YouTube. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but it really, really does help. It's just a click of a button and it draws more people to the stream and to the channel. Right. I think we're there. See you at 5:15 for Barnsley versus Bournemouth. Looking forward to that one. Another busy week as I drop my pen, which probably says I've had too much caffeine and it's probably time to get this one done. This will be available on the podcast as ever if you don't want to look at my face or you're watching on your listening on your earphones or driving or whenever you listen. So check that out. Thank you for all your support, guys. And I will see you very, very soon. And if I set the button up, I can say it's over and out from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time.